Hello, here we are again. We're back trying to do the plushie here in ZBrush. We're going to finish this up in here and going to take it into Blender for its retopology. I'm not going to get too detailed or anything much more on this guy in here for now. I think, matter of fact, we'll probably just go ahead and export him out. I don't think there's anything else other than his eyes that need to be created. I'm going to do those in Blender. So, more than likely, I will just start Blender, get it ready so I can swap over to it. And we'll take this dude here, and we will export him out by just bloop, 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 bloop. We're gonna save. We're gonna export, and you guys can't see where I'm exporting to, but I'm just going to put him in the proper folder for the short, if I can find it. There's a lot of room on these drives here, so plushie rabbit, I'm just going to do him as an OBJ, and he'll be good to go. I'm just going to check, see if I am putting this out as a display right now. And I think what I'm going to do is do a window capture instead when we swap over here to Blender. So let's try that real quick. And here we go. There is Blender. We're not going to be doing any sculpting in Blender. We're just going to be let me just end my project for ZBrush here. We are just going to be bringing him in and doing his retopology first of all. So we're just going to say general. We're not going to put him in the room yet. Just want to make sure that he's his own file for now. We can append him to the other one later. So we're going to import, that would be an OBJ. Let's use the new version of that. There we go. And bring him on in. If you guys are watching, go ahead and feel free to comment or anything that you want to. Ask some questions. We're going to go to our drive here real quick. I know you can't see it, but that's okay. All the better for me. We're going to grab that real quick right here. And there he is, and bring him in. He may or may not be the right scale for our room once we get him in there, but we'll find that out as well. I'm going to go ahead and rotate him around 180 degrees. 180. I always move a little bit first, like so, and then I look at which axis has moved, and then I type in what I know I need. It just seems to go a little faster. So you can just tap once, go 180, pow, and it will do it for you. So you can see he's in here. If we look at him though in wireframe, you can see there the mesh is so dense that he actually looks gray. You can see that mesh there. We don't want him to be like that because it's just a ridiculous amount of information that we don't need. So we're just going to wind up retopologizing him. Plus we're going to make eyeballs for him. We might as well do that to start with. That's going to be a really simple thing to do. We just add a mesh. We're going to add a UV sphere. Going to turn it. Now here's what I'm talking about, my little trick again. I'm just going to rotate this until we see that that's moving in this x-axis. We're going to say 90, and boom, good to go. I'm going to do both eyeballs from this one sphere. I'm going to make it smaller. Going to move it forward so we can actually see it. Going to move it, make it smaller again. Keep making it smaller. I'm also going to move it up to where it's going to be essentially in the right place for his eyeball to be. And let's go ahead and scale it down even more. Just keep moving it and scaling it as necessary. I don't want the eyeballs to be too big. Just a tiny bit smaller than this though. That's probably okay. Also, now we're going to go into edit mode and the good old X-ray mode here, because what I want to do is grab the polygons from the back. I don't want to delete them though. I want to come down here to separate selection, and now we'll have the two halves of the eyeball when I go back into object mode here. There'll be two separate eyeballs. We're going to take the rear one. It's at 90. We're going to actually rotate this around until it's the same as the front one. So that's going to be at a negative or at a 180. Now they're the exact same. We're going to move it over. You know what? An easier way of doing this probably would have been just to mirror it, but we're going to move it here, and it's going to be okay. The cool thing about it is they won't be perfect, which is good for a plushie toy. I'm just going to angle these now to where they sit to the angles of the face like that. It's a little creepy looking, which is kind of strange, but that's all right. It's a plushie toy. What do you want? And I'm going to move these kind of up and forward. A little bit like that probably. We're going to have to take a look and see that those are sort of correctly placed. I think that's okay. Maybe a little lower. And I'm doing them, you know, I'm okay with them being hand placed like this because in real life they would also be hand placed. Going into the local rotation here, kind of tilting them back a little bit. That works. And we're going to smooth shade them to where they basically look like that, and he's good to go. So the retopology of the body is its own special deal. I'm going to save this first in our particular folder for the Glen. That's what I'm calling it for now. We may change it to the Bob, to the Steve, I don't know. Just kidding. We'll call this Rabbit. Save that, and now once it saves, we'll be able to go in here and do the retopology. So this is going to be fairly easy, maybe not, because I just realized his arms are connected to his legs, his ears are connected to the backs of his legs. It'll be interesting, but we're going to do it in a really crude way to start with and then break it down. It's the way it's always done, but we're just going to go here. We're going to go to active. We're using Retopo Flow 3.2.5 right now. There probably is an updated version of it by now, but I have not checked. What this is going to do is take that really dense mesh and make us able to simplify it. There is an automatic retopology tool I could have used for this. It's all right. We're going to see. And the reason why I would use a automatic one would be for a non-animated figure, for an actual prop or static object. This one's not going to be animated, so I should have gone that route with it, but we're still going to come through here and basically show you how to do it if we had to do it this way. And I'm going to use a very simplified mesh on the top and then start breaking it down once we get that on here, if it will let me do that. It will do it here momentarily. Excuse me there, Cat. I'm going to put that right there where you're at. Is that okay with you? There we go. So now I just closed this little logo, and here we have our rabbit in here. We want to make sure our symmetry is turned on since we are on a symmetrical object. And we can close these up for the moment. It's going to take a minute, I think, to scan this thing, decide where the X symmetry is and all that stuff. And once we get this line that runs down the center, which should be momentarily, looks like it's working it, it'll wind up turning off one side to be gray. I believe this is probably way too high of a density of a mesh to bring into Blender, more than likely. That's probably what's going on here, is it's saying because I forgot to decimate it before we exported it. So just in case, I'm going to get ZBrush opening back up on the side here, and I might have to go in and actually knock it down a bit before we do this. That is a huge possibility. Just waiting for that one to see if it's going to kick in. Okay, it did kick in. It is working. It's probably way too dense though, but I think we can work with it. So let's try it. If it fails, my fault. And we'll just we'll see what happens here. But we're going to start with probably poly strips. More than likely, I'm going to go. Oh, this is it's a little bit confusing, but let's see if we can run one right up the side here to the top. If it doesn't want to work, that means it's too dense. Doesn't seem like we're getting anything happening. It's getting the spinning wheel, so it very well may be just too dense of a mesh to even work. We'll try it one more time. And we've got nothing. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump over back to ZBrush here real quick. And there we go. And we're going to open him up and we're going to export him again. So let me just get out of Retopo Flow. I'm going to just check on what the, over here in Blender, just check on what the polygon count is for this thing real quick, because I'll bet y'all be like, wow, that was a mistake. Let's see here. Also, let me get rid of this Retopo Flow version that has nothing in it. And now we can look at our stats. And it says he is 2.5 million. That's sort of doable, but not really all that great. So we're going to get rid of him. We're going to leave his eyeballs behind. And we're going to go back to ZBrush real quick. And in there, let me bring it up for me. We are going to load our tool here. Let me just find it real quick. It should be there, but if not, it's down at the bottom of this one. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. We're going to load this tool. And we're going to go into edit mode here. And now, after I frame him up, not that that's necessary, but we're going to use one of our plugins, Decimation Master. We're going to pre-process this guy. It's going to take a second. You can see up the upper left here, it'll make an orange line that goes across. Shows us at what point we are in the pre-processing phase. Obviously we're around 15% right now, and once that gets done, we'll go ahead and do the actual decimation, which takes seconds. It's the pre-processing that takes forever. And once that is done, we'll get him back into Blender. Hope I didn't cause a buzzing noise here. Almost done. And now back into the plugin at the top here. There we go. Had to write it to the disk. We're going to go to here and we're going to say decimate current or all, either way. And it will now decimate it. We're going to go from about 500,000 polygons down to, or I'm sorry, 2.5 million polygons, down to 481,000. So now is when we're going to export this guy out and save him as our lovely rabbit. I think I put that in the Glen folder, so let me try to do that once more. ST, I know you guys are bored with me here. The Glen there. I'll call this plushie rabbit. Replace it, yes. And in seconds that will be done. We'll close ZBrush now. But before I do, let me make sure we are swapped back over to Blender here. There we go. We're obviously going to need to resize our window a bit because of the size of my screens is a little wacky until I get an upgrade on one particular monitor. There we go. And we're back there. I'm going to go ahead and kill ZBrush for us. Nope, we don't need that. And now we're going to bring back in with our wavefront OBJ, our plushie rabbit once more, who's going to come in probably much easier. And we're going to take this guy, rotate him around. We're going to go 0 on that one. Don't know why it's that way. And we're going to go 180. And he'll be back where he was. Now, once again, I'm going to go ahead and save this as the new rabbit file. We can now go back into retopoflow with him selected. It's going to start its whole number up again. Should be a little faster because it's about 5 times smaller of a file. Here we go. Any day now. There we go. A lot faster. All right. So hopefully we go into symmetry. We make sure we'll turn that on. It should pop up a lot faster now than it did before. Still a little staggering for a second. I'm sure it needs to, there we go, catch up with itself a little bit. I'm going to just start with our poly pen and just see that things are working properly. And it seems to sort of be the case here. For some reason we're getting our stuff on the opposite side of really where I want it. Looks like we're working on the opposite side. So that could have been the problem actually with our other file. I don't know why that's this way. I kind of honestly would rather swap that, but I don't think we can. Let me double check something though. I think it might have to do with the direction this guy is possibly sitting. Let's apply, oh, that's probably what it is. We need to apply our rotation and scale. That'll probably take care of it. I'm going to delete that retopoflow version and we'll go back into retopoflow now and see if it'll do it. I'm used to working on his left side, my screen right side. So let's see what that does for us. Sorry if this is a boring video. I've had to go back and fix a couple of things, but it is a live stream, so you get what you pay for. All right, here we go. Back into good old retopoflow, which is my favorite way of retopologizing stuff. We're going to set up our X symmetry again. I'm going to close that window there. Make sure it's working. It should pick up steam in here in just a second once it figures itself out. There we go. And let's see if now we are on the proper side, which we are. So it was about applying the scale and the rotations. So what I was trying to do before is probably run a strip coming up the side of the head like this just to get started. And I'm just going to grab, this end piece, snap it to each other there. Just kind of see what else is going on here. Get this in the crack of the neck. And you just want to really move these things around. I'm trying to go pretty crude. I probably should have done less polys here for starting it out. I like to go really, really low numbers. So if I wanted to, I could even come in here and delete, dissolve some of these edges. You want to dissolve, not delete at this point. And move them around a little bit here. Just kind of get them where you want them to be. A little more evenly spaced. And see, that's totally fine for what we're trying to do here. And knowing me, I mean, I can go ahead and do a stroke tool here. Not my favorite word right now. My friend just actually had a mini stroke yesterday. Not cool for this video to probably even say that, but it's not a word I like to think about. So just did that, but I actually want to do it again. So I want to say how many separations that I want. That's way too many. So I hold my shift and roll my mouse wheel down. And we could probably survive Wow. That was from the background. Bless you. And
Oh, sorry, that really hurts.
bless you. Um, we have someone home on the couch today. So we'll just move these in their places. And every sound you make is just like really loud in the microphone, so you know.
Oh, sorry.
It does pick up.
Sorry about the sneeze.
Oh, that's all right. Just letting you know in case you didn't know.
Well,
All right, so that's going to be like so. Looking good so far. Hopefully you can tell kind of what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to create some other polys here from the back. Kind of extending the back of the head now. And good to go. Eventually here, though, before we do much, I need to create all of the rings around the ears and things like that. This is a lot simpler than a character that's going to be animated. I mean, if you wanted to, you really could go in here and do some really bad topology, but let's try not doing that. Just going to try and keep this as decently done as possible. So this one should probably come up to that muzzle there, more than likely. Kind of do one of these for now. It looks like there's really should be kind of a bend here somehow. I'm trying to stay a little bit with the actual contours of the shape. It just makes it a little easier on the whole mesh, I guess I could say. So this will all get subdivided down. If you're wondering, you know, how that's going to work, well, it will get all subdivided down. This guy could come across the front there, but I kind of don't want to do it that way. Let's just go this way. This one's going to create a shape like so. We might even want to pull this one over, and then I'll throw another line right in there because it could use a little bit of extra help, it looks like. We'll just use our loop tool and divide right here. So I start really low, but then I eventually do kind of put some more in there. We got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We've got this extra bit that I'm not too thrilled about going on right there. That's okay. We'll make this work just the same. I think I'm just going to go ahead and connect these two for now. Go ahead and bring this up to here for the moment. Might even pull that down. This will wind up coming here to here and here to here. And then in our nose we have 1, 2, 1, 2. This should, no, we have 3. Sorry, my mistake. How I would handle this is to bring these down probably to here. All this can be changed out as you go. This would be brought to here. We have 2 to work with, so I would probably go this route and then do another dude here and just bring him right across the front. So that's all essentially taken care of. We do have some strange loops that'll be happening. Obviously this will come down and around like so, but this is not an animated character. I'm not horrified by anything like that on this. It's a static prop. Keep that in mind. Let me see. So maybe a little contouring here on the ears. So we'll go this route. Probably take this down to about 12 or so. That looks about right. Cool thing is you can then go to another contour like so, and it will attach those together. Double click this one down here and bring one across this way. And now all I have to do is fill in those bottoms of those ears. I'm going to give myself a couple division lines, obviously, through here. and then sort of continue all of this up and over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'll just make a line of, well, we can do strokes this way too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then make this connect there and roll it down to where it's only one patch. We can do another one of those to the same approximate area, roll it down to where there's only like so, which really kind of makes that process a little bit easier, filling in and so on. On this side now, we can use a tool called the patch tool, where I'm just basically doing like so. We can grab our tweak tool, push these around where we want them. You can push points around, but you can't push people around. If only. All right, there we go. Pull this back here. There's a few that I know that need some pushing. All right, so that looks okay. This one's a little squished, a little stretched. Which in animation, it sounds like something you'd want, but not in your mesh. That just meshes it all up. I need to change the name of this channel to dadjokes.com. Datapopolis. Not Datapopolis. What's the word I'm thinking of? What's the end of the world called? Datapocalypse. That's the word I was looking for. All right. So these can be pulled up into that seam to a degree here. Not too far, but enough to make a difference. And then we could just kind of fill in and figure out where all these go. That's the beauty and the freedom of wearing always. No, this is the beauty and the freedom of working on a mesh that is for a prop and not for a character. You have a lot more freedom to make mistakes, flaws, fudging things. Thought I was going to say a different word, didn't you? And just getting it done. Because this is going to sit on the shelf. Like I said, it's not a character. So we just go back here with our pin now and do a little bit more work to just kind of finish off this sort of end cap of the ear. I'm just going to go real crude here, though. So I'm going to say poop and ding dong and stuff. Be real crude. There we go. And get these done like so. You can tweak that to where they need to be. And then go ahead and cap them off. I'm going to wait, though, because I need to figure out what the divisions need to be for this dude. It's going to be coming down here. I'm going to figure out how these all join. So more than likely, this is going to have a separation there of some kind. At least that one. There's going to need to be another one that runs through there. So we can now just bring these across like so. So it's easy to get confused with the way these look because you're seeing through the object at the same time, but you get used to it. We need one right here. Not really wanting to put all these in at the beginning, but I'm not too worried because what I would be mostly worried about is the ones that travel down the body. And we're not having any issues with those directly. So that goes there. I'm going to see if I can pull this one over. Get it more on the edge of the ear just a little bit. It will not work if you're trying to look through another part of the body to move that over. Just a warning there. And so we've got 2 here. I think I can probably manage connecting these up this way and probably doing this one without any ill effects from doing that. Sometimes you realize too late, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. It happens, you know. Deal with it. That's all you can do. So I'm just going to do a smaller one here for the moment just to start probably bringing that back of the neck around or something along those lines. I'm just going to do one here for now until we figure out just how many those really should be. And this is what I was saying. It could be a little difficult because the ears are connected to the head or to the neck and to the body and all that stuff. You're not just doing, you know, circles that sweep around where you could just use the contour tool to get those done. So just nip those closed right there, and once again finish up here with our tool there. Probably have to close that bit too. There we go. And now it's a matter of figuring out where that closes at the top. I'm going to wait on those because I don't want that running down the front of my body here to close those up. Plus, I also need to figure out how these all join up here as well. So I'm just going to go large on these until kind of the end of the ears. We'll go like so. Come around to the other side and start filling these in over here. You see my little wheel of death spinning there just because it's doing an auto save. There's nothing wrong. It's just the auto save I think is set for like every 5 minutes. Sometimes I get really annoyed with it and I just turn it off, which you're taking a risk. I mean, if you do that, you are taking a risk. So I recommend being careful about that. Let me see if I can actually get this guy through here. Probably not, because actually inside his body looking out right here. Probably not going to work. I'm going to have to see how it's inside there. I'm going to have to probably select this, find another angle that I can see this other one at right here. Let's see the whole, there we go. And we got that one closed up. Oh, that's wrong though. We want to go from here. Up, I'm inside again. I want to go from here to there. There we go. That was right. All right, so somehow we got to close this up eventually. But in the meantime, I think what I'm going to start working with is the arms. We need a couple of, well, we don't get to make those circles around the arms because they're connected to the body almost all the way across, which that's totally cool. The legs, however, can have contours just like right here. We'll go with 12 on those. We're going to go with another one there for sure. Probably do another one here. And then we'll figure out just how those come across. Like I said, none of this is animated, and I need to keep reminding myself of that. We can probably bring those right across to just the tips of the 3 toes, and then we'll work out how they close up. In the meantime, we can put in loops to help alleviate any stress on the shape that these are obviously having, because none of this will matter later as far as this affecting any of the other stuff we have to fill in. So that's why I wait on some of the other stuff. So this now all has to go back and up and all that junk. So we're just going to take some of these dudes here. Probably just those. I'm going to do a stroke here that goes about here. I'm gonna probably do only that many for now. We can come out here and tweak these around, of course. And we do need to. These can probably stretch quite a bit to the side because these other ones are going to kind of go down the side of that leg. It's my least favorite style of music blaring into my window from outside the house right now.
Guy just walking down the street.
Somebody's walking around?
Yeah, with a big radio.
Really? Somebody has a boombox? Now that I'm interested
I
in.
think it's a boombox. He's like heading towards the corner. It sounds like
Well, evidently he thinks the whole neighborhood should hear it too. Cool.
it's annoying.
Anyway, let's get back to what we're doing here. I mean, I used to love it back when I was into breakdancing. You did walk around with your radio, but it's not till I became older and wiser that I realized, hey, that probably annoyed a lot of people, even back then, when it was kind of a cool thing to do. It probably wasn't as cool as I thought. All right, so now we're going to see if I can patch some of these pieces here by going 1, 2, 3, 1. And see, that just saves us a little bit of time there as well. You can now tweak the pieces around, get them in a better position. A little more of a flow. Yo. Like our bro outside. Some dude, I don't know who he was. I do like boomboxes, though. I have a thing kind of about them.
Really?
I just don't like to hear them when it's somebody else's music. You put a little Egyptian Lover or Grandmaster Flash or something on it, then yeah, I'm all about it. I'm not a fan of this. There's kind of the modern R&B right now, where it's kind of like mumble rap stepped into R&B completely, to where it all just sounds like someone going, I'm not a fan of that. I think there's a much more artistic way to express oneself when it comes to, and I love soul music. I love R&B music. I just don't like the modern version of it. I think it's kind of weak. I don't know. There's something just different about it that I don't care for. That's just my personal opinion, which I'm allowed to have. I'm going to make a big statement about that over and over again for a long time. Okay, so let's get these guys patched up to here. And now I'm going to see if I can do a patch around the back of the leg. That it may not work because of the direction this direction change this has to have. It works, but it's ugly, so we're gonna have to tweak all these points. That's okay. That's why they made the tweak tool. Totally is a good thing that we have it, and makes it okay. Makes everything okay. All right, I'm just trying to even the spacing out of these a little bit. Keep our edge flow happening. Yo. I think that's working. Okay, let's just find where that goes. I think that's okay for now. I don't care for the fact that this raises up so much. This should probably carry straight across more. A little more like so. Like I said, you get the idea of this the more you work with something. The more retopology you do, it starts to make a lot more sense. Okay, so we've got a bit of a deal here, but that will be taken care of once we subdivide this area. Okay, there's a bit of an issue there. So what I'm going to do with that is just come straight up. Are you laughing at me?
No, I'm tickled. I don't want to cough out loud.
You can cough. And I'm just going to keep going around the front of this leg, and then I'll figure out how to connect it to the side of this leg. This one will wind up going like so, and then there will be another one that comes up here. Perfect. So now we can start patching some things together just by going boom, 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 boom. Actually, I can't use a patch because I don't have an upright here, so we'll have to use a stroke right here. Really hate that word today. Like so. I'm going to tweak this around. I don't know if you're like me. When I hear of somebody else having an issue, I worry for months that I'm going to have the same issue. I think there's some kind of a weird mental problem about that, like some type of a psychosis where you think you have everything that everybody else has. Okay, we'll try the patches now because we have an upright, a 90-degree angle. We'll just pop these over like so and then tweak them around to where they continue to flow the way they should. Yeah, for a long time in my life, I believed that if somebody else gets something, I'm probably going to get it too. I better start thinking about it a whole lot, because thinking about it a whole lot keeps you from getting it, right? Wrong. Yeah, like you go into defense mode, and if I just keep my guard up, it won't happen to me. And, well, that doesn't actually help. And honestly, the more you think about something, the more you're probably going to manifest it in your own life. So it's best just to say, well, feel bad for them. That really sucks. It's not going to happen to me, though, because I'm going to take preventative steps if I can, like exercising and not smoking and all that. I did not do drugs or anything. I drank a lot of water as a kid, for sure. I was pretty healthy, a lot of martial arts. Not that I'm bragging about it. I'm just saying I kind of am a living example, I think, of the difference of lifestyles that some of my friends had growing up. I say my friends, but, you know, the people I used to go to school with and things like that, I should say. They had different lifestyles. They have different adult lifestyles too, you know, more stress. I have my own stress, but most of the time I make my own stress. But I don't choose to take on more than I think I can really handle, because I have a little thing set in my brain that if it's more than I can handle, I self-sabotage the crap out of it. Granted, I wind up probably a few people not liking me, but I am able to flip the table and walk away if I need to, which I highly recommend sometimes. It's good for your health to not subject yourself to things that you really shouldn't, because it's really bad for your health if you do. That's Sean's health tips for the day. Okay, so now I can try to patch this. I don't believe I can patch across here. No. So I'm going to have to go with a poly pen. I'm just going to do a single poly here. And I'm going to do that a few times, because what I'm going to do is subdivide these down once I figure out where they need to connect. And that's probably good right there for the moment. I'm going to give it at least one loop, because I know it will need at least one loop. Definitely more. That's just a good starting point. It's starting to get confusing. It's hard to see because of all the polys we're seeing through to see this. Yeah, I'm going to wait on that one, even though I know it needs to be done. We're going to go ahead and do a contour right across the arm here. Won't let me do it on that side, I forgot. Right across the arm here where it does not touch the leg. We're going to make sure that's 12. Just because it's enough divisions that we can work with, but it's not so many that it's a huge pain. And I'm going to tweak these a bit back to kind of straighten out the angle that these are kind of on to the arm. I'm going to make sure these kind of cut directly across and not at an odd angle. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better for that reason. And we're going to have to wind up connecting these into that arm, and these, of course, have to cap off at the end. So I think what I'll wind up doing is bringing up a few of these. I mean, I know these have to pretty much go where they're going. That's why I brought them up. I got to just find a way to work them in to where they're going to live. That's probably okay there. I'm just going to try and make a few here. Just sort out this connection. I think that one can connect to that one. Then we'll see. I'm looking through all these other ones. It's very difficult. This one can come up here for now. And probably I'm going to go ahead and just ignore that hole that's going to be there. This one's going to, as soon as it auto saves, I'm going to try and grab this edge if it will let me. I hope I didn't screw myself. There we go. And we're going to go like that. So we've got our armpit primarily good, and this one is going to come up here and go here. And that will take care of that little bit that I was worried about. That does go in a place where I need another division, so that works out just fine. We're going to try the patch tool here now in a couple of these guys just to get that going. If we have to have a triangle, it does not matter because this is a static prop. I'm going to say that about 400 more times, so get ready for that. I'm just going to bring these around. That looks like it's doing okay. Now I got to figure out where the leg meets these other guys here. And I'm thinking it looks okay. Yeah, I'm going to make a new one. Goes from here to here to here. That one's probably going to be split only so I can attach this other little guy coming up to it. It's very confusing looking right now, I am sure. And that looks okay. This one's going to come up to here to here. This one's going to come up from here to here. I think I'm going to try and raise that one a little bit over just to make that a little easier of a split that's going to happen strangely there. Right now I'm really wishing though I could see these a lot better than I am, just given the angle and position I'm in. It's a little crazy and annoying to look at this way. Let's just try that for now. Let's see, I'm going to select all of these guys for a contour, see if it'll work. I'm going to go ahead and contour out to there. That's going to save us some time, which is a good thing. So that works just fine. And now I can make my way the rest of the way up the arm. And I'm going to try and connect here now from the leg. Figure out how this is going to work into the whole thing. Obviously, I think I'm going to need to break away here. Gives a little more resolution here than I really want, but you know what? If I do a triangle, I could probably live with that, and then we can break another one out there just fine and be okay doing that. Like I said, it's very confusing to look at, especially if you've never done this before, because you're looking at all sides of the object at the same time. It's like being in another dimension where you're seeing more than 3 dimensions. I guess if it ever happened to me, I'd probably be more used to it than some. If you had to be existing in another dimension or something. That's because I'm special. Okay, there we go. That works just fine. We're going to see if we can do a patch here. Probably not. Let's undo undo these. Let me find the edges for it. And just go up that high for the moment. I have to tweak those around because those are going to wind up getting in the way of some other things, I think. We need to figure out how this all connects. It's going to be one of those things just like the leg where got more points right there than I really want to have to deal with, but they are still going to have to be dealt with. And that guy's going to walk up that way. This is going to... That particular point seems to be hard to reach. There we go. Sometimes they get submerged below the surface of the mesh and it has no idea how to get that point back, and I have to sometimes wander underneath the surface there to grab it. Alright, so this one is going to at least come up, I know, to about here. And that one will get split in half for sure. Might as well just split it now because I know it's going to have to be. It is being a little difficult. There we go. Alright, so just kind of looking at my options, I know that this will probably wind up possibly doing something over there, but I think until then I'm going to bring up another grouping of these guys, probably one little separation like that. Bring these down here. So I'm just using the poly pin tool and manually placing these one at a time till I figure out exactly where everything's going to go and how it's going to lay out. I think I'm starting to figure it out here a little bit. You can always come back in with the tweak tool, which I'm not using. I'm just using the poly pin tool to tweak those around. But can do either or. This is going to wind up coming to here. This is going to wind up coming to here. And now I need to figure exactly how all of these guys are going to join up and go into the other dude. So I think I'm just going to start with this. If we have to split some of those up, then we do. I'm going to go ahead and send a loop right down this way. That way I can make a little stop right there. Stop right there. And get this probably connected over there. Kind of look at the back side of this and see how many we have to deal with here. Looks like there's 3 main ones here that come down. So that's a possibility that I can take this one here, this one here, and this one here, this one. Looks like I'm inside the mesh or something here, which I believe I am. I definitely am. We can go here to here to start with. So these all will have to connect and all that. So that's good there. There's going to be interesting way these are going to have to connect. So I'm just going to go ahead, connect this guy. This is really difficult because I'm looking through things to see things here. We're going to try and connect him here and maybe out here. That will probably wind up being a triangle right there for now, which means That will connect to there. What we have left back here is 1, 2, 3, and this one can definitely go there, but we have 2 now. And just for the argument's sake, we'll just make that one a triangle and get that one there. So that's good on the back side of that. I'm not really worried about triangles in static props, so as you notice. That one can probably just come down to there. Cheating the heck out of that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you know what I'm going to do with all these? I'm going to terminate all of them probably into triangles. More than likely. But let's just be fair enough and see if what I can get away with. Hey, no triangles. Amazing. Okay. So that took a little bit, but is good. The ears are closed up. Now we need to close up the ends of the hands, which are going to be pretty easy. The ends of the feet, which will be pretty easy. And then we now need to worry about our shoulders and how everything connects up the body. So I'm probably just going to go ahead and make a single poly that's going to sort of come up to this far. Do the same thing all the way around the arm. Just to get that shape before we subdivide it in any way. Gonna probably have at least 2 splits right here. The reason being that one's going to connect there. This one's going to eventually connect there. So that's more than fine. Like so. That we can even push back in there more. This one, of course, will now come to here and to here. And then, of course, everything from the body, which is going to be hard to select. More than likely here. Sometimes you can get too close or not close enough and it just won't select it. So there we go. It's like it's being difficult. Those I can tweak later here. Just trying to figure out where all these are going. I think I can possibly use a patch, I hope anyway, for this section of the body, and then I can tweak all those around. That one's not going to work because it's going to attach itself to the ear. So we'll go with that. Start tweaking these things around a bit. Okay. I think I'm going to try and pull these guys up now. Try and shape out that shoulder. I'm not going to connect them because I want this to be the arm polys. We'll make a little row in there or whatever if we need to. And what's cool about this is we've got 2 more extra rows of that just built by default by doing this kind of thing that we can use. These can now be probably using a patch like so. Depending upon how I want to go about that. There's quite a few there though, and I'm not real happy about that. Since it's a static prop, guess what I'm going to do? Turn some of these into triangles. Minimize some of these all together, where they just terminate off right behind the leg. No one's ever going to see it. So it's all good. As long as we have the surface detail and shape that we need, it doesn't matter because they are all static. Okay, that looks all right. That one I believe is going to just come across like so. That one will need a split here. Then we could probably that probably should have a poly between it, to be honest. That way we can have them here and they can split off from that point. Okay, the back is the only thing I have to worry about here now. Unfortunately, there's no access. Let me just do it this way. See how well that works. I think that's going to be fine. Just need to pull these down. And then this stuff will just get filled in like that. And that should be good to go and be able to bring the back all the way around. These will, of course, be brought up like so. Just going to make these very simple. I'm not going to subdivide anything, just so we have the coverage. And we can work on the form after the fact. See how many else. Okay, so we are at this point now. So I think I'm just going to take that guy here and make it a four-sided by doing that. Just a little wonky, I realize, but we put this as a 5-pointer right there. This comes back that way. We can straighten these up a bit with our tweak tool. And then I'll wind up making a subdivision that runs through here, I believe. Let me just see if that loop will. Okay, that loop's going to wind up going upward. A loop here would not work. Well, it will work. Let's just wait on that. And we've got one out of place right there that we need to reshift to the back surface. There we go. And now we can start putting these guys together like so. And like I said, this is all just a matter of filling stuff in kind of at this point. These might not have been done this way. We'll find out here in a second. I'm going to definitely put a loop here, which allows me to tweak all these other points right here over, which we kind of need for better spacing and topology. I bet you're tired of hearing that word.
Me?
Yeah.
No. Did you say reptology?
Retopology. No, topology. Rupology.
Yeah.
Topology.
Topology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, yes. Not rupology. That's when RuPaul apologizes for something. She made a rupology. Okay, so this kind of thing, we'll sort out the specifics here as we go. All right, so that one needs to be sealed up, looking good. So now we need to figure out our front, and we need to figure out the back with the tail. Normally, I would say you have to do a ring. Excuse me, lots of sneezing around here. Must be allergy season again. It's always allergy season in New Mexico, though. Literally, always. Okay, so I'll just pull these over a bit. I want to see if I do a loop where that goes. That's a pretty long trailing loop there, my friends. I want to see where it goes. Kind of goes up through the front of the face. It's not horrible, though. We'll work on that in a bit. So I want to try and do a ring around our tail here. So I'm just going to start here. Just generally make the shape, trying to maybe match up a polygon here and there. It's probably a good idea. Pulling these more to where they need to go. Like I said, luckily for us, though, this is not an animated figure. Okay, so I don't care if there's a triangle here. Watch me not care. So, blam. All right, so this one can be here. There's a triangle there. We'll just take it. There's going to be, let's go ahead and put a quad there like that so that this has a little more room to work with. We would have to do that correctly. Do it correctly, we would do that anyway. We'll go here like this. Decisions. Here like so. Here like so. So now, obviously, we have to put either a quad up in here, or that rips through there. We'll just do it. As I've stated, this is really okay, being a prop. If it was an animated figure, there's many things I would not be doing here right now, but it works. That's what counts. Okay, so let's go ahead and select this entire ring using a contour tool. It's got 20. We're going to draw another ring right in the center right here. Kind of bringing all those things together. I don't know why that's not working. Oh, because it's a contour. You have to do it from the side. So we'll do this. And then we'll start putting some loop cuts in the center that bring that out. Makes the shape. And then for that tail, you guessed it, triangles. Now, if we did use the stroke tool, we could actually select everything and go one more pass like so. Pull all those together, like maybe like that. Lessen it down to something like that. And then connect our triangles, because that's just going to give us a better end result, closer to the final result. And we'll just zoom in here to grab those like so. Boom. It takes a minute, but it's totally worth it. It's got to be done either way. We can just kind of move that around as necessary. Make sure all these are closed up. Any of the ones that are red mean that they are not. So just kind of grab them, move them, put them back together, and they will weld themselves. So all that's good in the back, except for that one little guy right there. Okay, the back is done. The top of the head ceiling to be done. We're going to wait a minute on that until we get the chest done. The nose has a couple of spots that need to be stitched. And those are good. So now I'm going to start just bringing down some of these polys here and figuring out exactly what we need division wise for those. Obviously we're going to need to split toward the top here at once so we can link this to this. This one can come down here and we can link that one up. Probably put that possibly there. I don't think that was actually a wise idea. So I'm going to get rid of that edge, which means I'm going to put this one probably flowing back up this way a little bit. We'll see. These guys probably can be linked using a patch. Boom. We will figure out how that flows in a second. This one I'm going to go ahead and give a loop cut to that shoulder because it was going to need one anyway. This will now link, whoops, across from here to here. It's going to be a little weird until we get it divided more. I can go here. This one will go here. This will be divided more. Just going to go ahead and do that for now. And I'm going to leave that as a triangle. Okay, let me just tweak these around slightly. So obviously we need something happening right through here. That'll be fine. I don't want to get real polygon heavy with this though, because it is a background object. It's just going to be sitting in the room somewhere, so I'm not horribly concerned about its perfect accuracy. It just needs to not be wrong at the distance it's going to be seen from. Okay, that works for me. We'll use a patch, see where we can get, how far we can get with a patch right now. It's not going to take that because the angle is larger than it should be. So we will have to create the first row with our either a poly pin or a stroke. Let's use a stroke. See if we can go from here to here. That works. Do another one here to here. Probably another one from here to here. Love the way those just fill in like that. All right, so this one's going to need at least one loop cut right here, which doesn't make me real happy on the spacing above, but hey, gotta do what we gotta do. In fact, let's get rid of that loop cut and let's just make our own knife cut that goes from this point up to here, so we don't have that giant loop running around the edge. We can join those that way. Then I can bring this out to here, 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 and here. And that means this guy should probably have a split on that one, which isn't great, but it will work. And that one's fine there, and this one is essentially fine here. So we're going to go with a row. Probably do this with patches at this point. I'm depending on you, son. All right, there we go. I got to play that song for you still. There we go, and there we go. It's called Patches. My jokes about it will make a lot more sense if you hear the song. Every time I say Patches, I'm depending on you, son, you'll be like, oh, okay, I get it now. Every morning that I went to school. Never mind. I'll have to play it for you. What? No, it's a song by... It's a really, really old song, actually. I don't remember who redid it, but I think like Jerry Reed or somebody like that redid it. You know that guy, right? So I'm just adding in some more loop cuts now. evening out the amount of cuts. This is probably more polys than we need for this static prop in the background, but it will even it out nicely, which is something I definitely want. Just making sure it all looks relatively even and good. All right, and the head, definitely going to be important. You notice I'm just cutting these to where it gives me a more even distribution of the points. Okay, that's probably okay for the second. I got to stitch up the hands and then the top of the head. So let me see. I'm probably going to wind up using a contour again. Actually, let's use a stroke for this. There's 15 of these, so that's more than I really wish there were for it. Let's kind of just do that for the moment. We'll tweak these around. Holy Lord, that's confusing with so many points. Luckily, we're toward the end, though, so a lot of these will be a non-issue at a certain point. But by doing them this way, I can split this area very easily. So I'm just going to do these again like we did the others in these all in triangles. It's just a static prop. I'm saying that for over and over again for the people who, for one, don't get it, but I'm kidding. For the people who are just joining, possibly, that's the point of this. It's not going to be moving, so odd topology really won't matter. All right, so there's that. And then, of course, with these large areas here, we can come in here so it has a better shape. We can start adding a few divisions to make up for what we're lacking in our resolution there. Even cross one through there if we want. And it's good to go on both sides. I noticed our bunny was not, what do you call it, symmetrical. That's okay, because the retopologized one will be. So we're just going to now flatten these guys over, fill it in as best we can. Looks like I'm probably going to need to make a few more polys here than actually exist, so that's okay. I'm going to need to make a split or two also that doesn't previously exist. Like I said, some of this topology is a little ugly, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and go to here, go to here, go to here. Kind of spread these out a little bit. These are probably just two polys right there, and we will worry about any of that in the transfer of the detail. And now we just need to worry about the top of the head here. There's a lot of little points here that can be just brought together in the back of the head here. That's all I'm going to do with some of these for now. These, though, I'm going to see about getting to be more of our correct ear shape. As many quads as we can get out of it without making it ridiculous. So these are okay. So there's this extra bit there, in my opinion, that's happening. This was just going to be, let's just snap that like so. We'll leave a little triangle right there. This is too many, in my opinion, to go forward. I'm going to go ahead and snap that one over. This one's going to come over from here to here. Let's see, this one's going to come here to here. So there will be a split happening there at least. These will probably become triangles. It's looking like. So this one can, whoops, not the whole thing. Just the point here. I should have the right tool probably. I'm going to snap those together. Snap these together. Some modelers will be cringing right now at what I'm doing, but hey, this is a static prop. How many times I gotta say it? Okay, so this now will be 1, 2, 3. This one goes directly across, obviously. This one can be brought to here. This one can be brought to there. This will never be seen. Okay, so now we can do any more splitting that we want to do, any more loops we want to do. But I think overall it's okay. All that geometry is going to be taken care of with a subdivision, what do you call it? Multi-resolution modifier. So that will be all chopped apart anyway. Cool. So we're going to exit out of here. We have our retopologized version of our model here. I'm going to have to move, turn off his little eyes real quick. These points here are actually popped out because they were trying to trace the eyeballs instead of, oh, this is because we have our what you call it still on. Let me go to the modifiers here, go back to our object. We have our mirror we need to apply. We're going to go ahead and apply that displays. Actually, I'm just going to delete it. We're not going to have to go back and retopologize anymore. We're going to go back into edit mode on these two. There's no symmetry selected. They should move now. There we go. And that just helps pull those in away from where they were. There's no need for them to be bulged out. And there we go. Pretty much where they're supposed to be. And now, with this simplified model, as you can see, very simple, we're going to add a multi-resolution modifier. We're going to subdivide this like probably 3 times, I think. We might need to go more. And we're also going to add a shrink wrap modifier, which is right here. That shrink wrap modifier has to have a few things set on it, though, to be correct. So we're going to make sure we go with project. We're going to go with on surface. We're going to go with positive and negative. We're also going to pick our target as the original plushie rabbit. And now, when we when we take a look at this, we should be getting our surface detail, as you can see here. It's a little gritty, so we're going to go ahead and probably subdivide that one more level, and it's going to look a lot better. So basically what that means is when this renders, it's going to wind up rendering at this level, but when we're working with it, we're only going to be working with the mesh that's that big. So that's pretty cool. I'm also going to see about possibly fixing this little point here, because there's some type of issue happening with our model. And I know that has to do with the fact that this was, what do you call it, non-symmetrical. So once we apply the shrink wrap, we can change anything we need to. I'm just going to see if by adjusting a couple things here, this may fix that, but it probably won't, only because this is a an actual issue. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to pick him one more time. Yeah, it's not going to make a difference. So I'm going to apply the shrink wrap. Let me come out of object mode, apply that shrink wrap, and Now it'll be correct. So the plushie rabbit itself should be able to be removed when we up the level here. Okay, we are gonna have a problem here with that multi-res. That's okay, because I'll show you another way we can probably fix that. I'm going to take the regular rabbit, the initial model though that we brought in, and delete it. So now we're left with this guy. I'm going to go into sculpting, and in our sculpting interface we should, which we're not for some reason, we should be on the retopology rabbit. We're supposed to be in level 4, which we are now. Good. So I'm going to come in here and see if I can just smooth these away, which we should be able to just fine, because we are just sculpting on just this new mesh. So it's gonna have to be something we go back and tweak a little bit. In fact, I'm going to turn down the strength quite a bit and the radius up a bit. See what we can manage there, because there are always a few of these weird polygons that happen if something's not perfectly on or extends past the border that we wanted it to. So nothing horrible to worry about. Nice thing is, once again, all of this is a static prop, and I'm not really honestly all that worried about it. All right, looks good. Close enough for government work. Perfect. We'll jump back out to layout. That is the one we're working with. Our eyes will turn back on. We're going to give the body now its own material. So far, just this material, and that'll be fine. We're going to just call that rabbit fur. And we'll make sure it doesn't have that little slash at the end. And then the eyes, we're going to make, we're going to call this eye for sphere 1. And I'm going to change the name of that sphere to I_L. That's just good practice. I_R. And on that one, we're just going to drop down here and use the same eye material on it. So if I were to take these now and just make them black, you'll see in the material view, the eyes are now black. The bunny, I think I'm going to make kind of a purplish color, purple or blue. I'm kind of surprised that Gina didn't go, "Aw." So some kind of purplish blue, maybe like that. That way, when you see this in the subdivided view, he looks more like so. We need to take him into Substance Painter and actually give him some paint. And then we'll be doing a fur on him. I think I'm going to maybe possibly use the particle fur for this guy. He will also need a group here. I'm going to call this fur. And the way that this particle fur works is it does pick up the texture that's underneath it to change the color on top. I hope that works, that this all does exactly what I want. We're going to start a new particle system here, and this particle system, I believe, somehow needs, yes, in the vertex groups, for density and length, we need to pick fur as well. I think length, definitely in density. Roughness, twist, okay, that should be okay. Textures, we can use whatever texture we have when we want to use that for it. I'm going to wait on that a little bit. Now we're going to use this as hair. I'm going to drop down my modifier here back to 1, maybe even to 0, and go back into this particle here. Number is 1,000 seed, hair length. I'm not sure why we're not seeing it yet. It doesn't need to be in edit mode. Probably because we need to select everything in our vertex group, I would think. So we also don't have a UV map on this, so that could be very well the case. So I'm going to try to do that first. Just going to cut this at very specific, obvious places. So we'll make a seam right across the neck. Mark seam. We'll make one that comes around the ears. Each ear. Okay, maybe not that way. I'll have to do this manually. Which is fine. There we go. Just kind of skipping through doing alt click or alt select to kind of speed up the process. See, this one went kind of across. Didn't really want these. That's okay though, because we did get a few of the others on the other side. Just come up here and get the top row now. Going down and underneath. Okay, and those are the seams for where the ears, I'm just making sure I got all the way around. Those are where the ears are cut off from the head, so we'll mark that as a seam. The ear fronts and backs should also be marked. I'm going to see if I can alt click these without an issue. There's that one. We're going to need to click through to here and maybe grab this without any damage. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and select the same one from this side here to here on the ear. And we'll mark a seam there. We need to cut the face front to back. That's fine there too with the arms. We need to cut around the arms. This is all very tedious, I know, and I agree. And I alt click a lot of this stuff just in case it selects more as I might need. And this one goes all the way up to here. And we'll just take a little detour here. And I have to try and match that as best I can on this side. That looks the same there. We'll just come down to here. This is very important to do this because, for one, you can put the hair on, but you can also put your textures on, which we definitely want to be able to do. Okay, that saved a little bit of time there and there. And that's the top split all the way around the arm. We also need a bottom split, so we're probably going to go ahead and go for that. That also is going to give us a front and back split. Looks like on that side. I don't mind splitting the feet half and half that way. That's okay. We're going to split them this way as well. I'm just going to try and find a good split point. I don't think that was it. Nope. Probably one more up. Nope. Probably even one more up. There we go. That works for me. Well, then we'll cut there. Then we can cut here. Looks like the same now. And come around and down for the front. We'll go around the side like the other one has been done. How many do I go out though? I think I'm just going all the way down the side now. Boink, that should be good to go on the same on both sides. We'll just add these two. I am going to split this one right at the back. And that's going to split the front. Didn't plan on that, but I'm going to go ahead and agree to it. This is going to save some time and effort there, which I'm all about. That looks good. That looks good. Front and back of the arms. The paws are separated into 4 pieces and their tip. And that is separated. We need to separate the rest of the tail here real quick. The ears are front and backs and separated from the head. And the head is okay. I think I am going to separate, though, the muzzle out like that. Just going to give it a little more ability to flatten out. So we're going to just go ahead and call those seams. And now we're going to pick unwrap. Oh, I guess I have to select all my polygons first. Right here. And we're going to go ahead and unwrap. See what we get. Everything looks relatively okay. I think I've got I was going to say a body issue, but we know that. Let me just see if I swap back here what might be still too connected. So this, we're going to need to separate a seam there. Let me just find my edges. There we go. And separate this and this. There was one little trailing edge left over. I also want to separate these legs from the body. Very important. Heck with it. Let's do it like that and that. Let's do the same on the other side. That and that. See what happens in the front. That just goes around. Works for me. And let's separate the legs in the front. And this one in the front. Those are really important things I forgot to do there. So we'll go ahead and mark the seams for those. We will go back to our poly view, select everything, go into UV and unwrap again, and that looks a lot better as far as I can tell. Okay, so we're going to come back into layout. There is our bunny. The UVs are done, the polys are done. I'm going to just double check on the particles here. I'm going to delete that particle system because for some reason I think it's just not going to work until we create another one. It looks like it's working better. I'm not sure why we're not seeing those. Oh, there we go. There we go. So now we're going to go take our length way down. These are only going to be about so long. We're going to, we don't need dynamics. We are definitely going to have interpolated children. Display, we're only going to display 10 for the moment. I think the length can probably be just a little less. He's really just going to be fuzzy. So that's what's important. I think I'm going to go with about 10,000 hairs on him though instead of 1,000. And we'll do a little bit of roughness. Like that maybe, and a little bit of clumping. Like that maybe, not a whole lot. Make some clump noise, and I want to only turn it up a little bit, and slight wave. We're going to turn that way down. It's got to be super small. You know, maybe there. Tip is 0, diameter is 1. Just kind of want to see if we can, what this might look like. I'm just going to look over in cycles to get kind of a better idea. It's missing in some places, which I'm not super thrilled about. Let me just turn on my GPU compute. It'll go quite a bit faster. And let's just kind of look in the multi-res. Is it going to be more once we get more of that in? And it doesn't look like it. So let me just do a quick render as well, because that's really going to tell us what's really going to look like in the end. And if I don't like this version of hair, I'm going to go back and use the new Blender hair system and see if we can do something cooler with that. This is just a particle hair that puts like a fur over the whole thing. So far, I'm not liking it pretty much at all. But I'm going to double check in our particle systems. I'm probably going to take off the clumping because I think that's probably what's giving us a bit of an issue. Yeah, definitely. And I think in the children display amount, or the render amount, I'm probably going to do like 500. And then in the children display, I'm going to do 100. Just to kind of get an idea, a better idea, kind of what they're going to look like. I don't really think it's good yet, though. This is just a matter of kind of playing with it. And for some reason, it's just not really even on all the surfaces. So I'm going to go ahead and look at our weight paint for this. And it should be kind of red everywhere, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead back into just the standard view here. And the weight says 1. And I'm wondering if the reds are getting rid of the hair or the reds adding the hair. It's really hard to tell with how this is working. Just going to double check something here. Hopefully we won't crash Blender messing around the way we are right now. So I'm thinking that it's quite a possibility. I'm going to save real quick. But that it is quite a possibility that yeah, it might have been our hair length. So that's a little better with the longer hair length. Let's go up to a little bit like a 0.05 maybe. Kind of see what that looks like in a render. Let me also, for the heck of it, move my light. Just going to go back into our object mode. Move our light a little better position to where it just feels like a better view. Also going to move our camera just a little bit. Kind of figure out a little more of what's going on with him. In that view, it looks pretty good, but let's render it in C because that's going to be the telltale sign of the whole thing. And then we'll go paint our textures if this is what's gonna work for the fur. I want to be able to render this in Eevee, which we may go the other route on it, or I very well just may make him have a fuzzy appearance and not actually have any fuzz. He's going to be in the background, you know. This is just kind of an experiment because I can't up my frames to 2 minutes per frame of rendering just for this particular bunny. I think I'm just going to wind up making him a fleece bunny in the end and not a furry bunny. So we're already at about 50 seconds here. And I can have these frames render in 3 seconds with the baked lighting and everything. So this is already more time than it's going to need to be. It's a good experiment though. Hopefully all will go well with it because we're kind of stuck. Okay, we got 1 minute and 12 now. That's already billions of times over. And he kind of looks like he got thrown in the trash or something. I don't know what's up with him, but that does not look great. And I think it has to do with my clumping and all that business. So we are going to delete that particular vertex group. We're going to delete that particular particle system, and he will now become the fleece bunny. I'm going to go ahead and up his levels here, and he's right now at 1.5 million edges, 761 as far as polys go at this level of detail. But what I'm going to do now is save him. I'm going to export him out to Substance Painter now that we have a UV on him. And then we will come back and do a video painting him, as far as I know. And we're just going to call him Rabbit for Substance. We want selected only. We don't need any animation or anything like that. UVs for sure. Normals, yeah, sure. Export. All right, so we'll come back and do another video here for the painting in a while. All right, talk to you.